Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In this video, I'm going to talk about the eligibility, the basic eligibility factors or what you need to meet before you apply for a work permit. Okay, so it all depends on where you're applying from. I mean, if you're outside Canada, if you're inside Canada, if you're applying at a port of entry. So, these are the things that matter the most. But I'm talking about the general eligibility criteria that everybody needs to meet, and then I'll talk about inside Canada and outside Canada shortly as well. So let's start with the first requirement. The first requirement is because work permit is a temporary resident visa, TRV. Okay, so if you are a temporary resident, it means that you need to show the case officer that your intent is temporary and you have no intention of living in Canada on an illegal basis. Okay, so you will leave Canada when your work permit expires. This is something that you need to prove. This is the first eligibility factor. Okay, second up, you need to show enough money so that that money would show that you can take care of yourself and your family members during your stay in Canada, and you will have enough money to return to home. So all of this you need to show through your bank statement. Although it is not the same like proof of fund requirement for express entry, it is different, but still you need to show that you have enough money. Okay, number 3, you will not be involved in any criminal activity. Okay, and you might be asked for a police clearance certificate as well. Especially, for example, if you're applying from Pakistan, you will need a police clearance certificate. Okay, so this is something that you need to show that you will obey the law. Okay, and number 4 requirement is that you will not be a danger to Canada's security or Canadians' security. Okay, obviously this is related to obeying the law as well. Then medical requirement is that you need to be in a good health, and you need to have a medical exam. Obviously, if you're applying from inside Canada, then maybe you might be exempt, but thing is that a medical exam is needed if applicable. Okay, so you need to be in a good health, meaning you cannot pose any medical threat to the Canadians at large. Okay, next up, you do not plan to work for an employer who is an ineligible employer. So these are the employers. There is a list, by the way. So these are the employers who did not comply to the IRCC requirements in the past, and now they are ineligible. So you cannot commit to work for one of those employers. Then second up is related to this one. There are certain occupations, if that employer offer those services, for example, they offer striptease, erotic dances, escort services, or erotic massages, then you cannot apply for a work permit because then you're not eligible. Lastly, you will need to provide any and all the documents that the case officer will require of you. Now let's talk about if you're applying from outside Canada. Okay, so basically if you're applying from outside Canada, there are requirements particular to your country. Okay, so there is a tool. You just go there and you download. You enter your country, then you download that form. Okay, so I'll make a video on the document requirements, and in that video I'll talk about it. If you're applying for a work permit from India or from Pakistan. Okay, so simply. If you want to Google it, then you'll need to Google application to work in Canada work permits, including open work permits. So if you Google that statement, you would get that. Okay, so if you're applying for a work permit from within Canada, then there are additional requirements. Okay, now in the last part of this video, I'm going to talk about inside Canada work permit eligibility factors. So you need to have a valid study permit or a work permit. Your spouse needs to have a valid study work permit if they are with you in Canada. You need to be eligible for a PGWP, and your study permit is still valid, then you can apply for a work permit. You need to have a temporary resident permit that is valid for at least 6 months. Okay, you are waiting on a decision on an application from inside Canada. I mean, for example, if you're CEC and you have gotten the ITA, now you're inside Canada waiting for your PR, you can apply for a work permit. Lastly, if you're a trader, investor, intercompany transferee, as per the international agreement between Canada, United States, and Mexico, CUSMA, then you can apply for open work permit. So these are the few requirements of open work permit. The other type of work permit is commonly known as closed work permit. Okay. Now, closed work permit is mainly for the people who do not have connections to Canada in terms of studies or in terms of already being in Canada on a work permit. So overall, these are the requirements for applying for a work permit. Okay, you need to understand that so that you know that you fulfill them. Okay, now next up in the next video, I'm going to talk about the documents that are required, especially if you're applying from India and if you're applying from Pakistan. So I'm going to talk about both countries in that video. So make sure you subscribe to my channel so that you get latest updates about Canadian immigration. With these words, this is Ali Iftikhar, and I'm hoping great things are coming your way.